I think GenAI is reshaping our industry in many ways. It started off as coding assistance, and today there is a GenAI product for multiple phases of the software and firmware development. On code generation itself, the AI tools are consistently improving features. They are providing access to different LLMs, and we are clearly seeing a rise of agent based coding systems.
Hi, are you interested in AI and would like to know how to apply it in business? I'm Gosia, and as the host of the AI at Scale podcast by Schneider Electric, I invite AI practitioners and experts to share their experiences, challenges, and AI success stories. Our podcast features real AI solutions and innovations. Welcome everyone, this is Gosia Górska and you're listening to Schneider Electric AI at Scale podcast. Today we are diving into the world of digital engineering and how AI is revolutionizing software and firmware development. Our guest is here to walk us through the acceleration we've seen, the challenges being addressed, and the possibilities ahead. Let's welcome Chitra Sukumar, SVP, Digital Engineering and Tech Debt at Schneider Electric.
Thank you for having me, Gosa.
Yes, thanks for coming, Chitra. So, for proper introduction, you are driving the digital transformation of R&D across the organization. Your mission encompasses the convergence of PLM platforms across the company, the standardization of tools across the product development lifecycle, the integration of AI-driven capabilities for design and for development, and the seamless connection between engineering and production platforms to ensure end-to-end traceability and data integrity. Additionally, I know that you are on the board of Schneider Electric President Systems Limited as non-executive director. Prior to joining Schneider, you've spent 23 years at Philips. You began your career as an embedded software engineer for consumer products and progressed to lead global R&D for the mobile surgery product portfolio within the healthcare domain. You hold an engineering degree in computer science from Bangalore University. And after this proper introduction, Chitra, is there anything else that is important to know you better?
Well, I enjoy traveling and living in a large and diverse country like India. It gives me a lot of interesting opportunities to, do this over a weekend without too much planning. And I love movies, which is, I think, typical of many Indians.
Oh, I'm a big fan of Bollywood, actually, which is a secret that I like to keep. But definitely, it started long time ago. At some point, it was very popular in Poland, and I kept it as a hobby as well. So I enjoy this as well. Okay, so let's jump into the topic of our conversation. Let's start with your amazing career. So you have over 25 years in software engineering and R&D. What were the biggest technological surprises, advancements that changed the life of software engineers and R&D engineers during your career in this field?
There'll be many, but I'd like to maybe pick a few. One, I would say cloud adoption becoming mainstream has certainly enabled scalable on demand infrastructure. Then I'd say mobile phone based apps has really changed how we interact with the world. And significantly in the last maybe 10 years, if you take a country like India, it's really enabled access for many, many people. Then I think AI and machine learning, while these are not new technologies, they've become much more usable with the advancements of compute power, large amounts of data. And I think generative AI advances have certainly turbocharged this trend.
So how exactly the appearance of GenAI impacted the software development and R&D world, and did it change the essence of the job already?
I think GenAI is reshaping our industry in many ways. It started off as coding assistance, and today there is a GenAI product for multiple phases of the software and firmware development. On code generation itself, the AI tools are consistently improving features. They are providing access to different LLMs, and we are clearly seeing a rise of agent based coding systems. In other areas, we are also seeing companies come up with many tools in the areas of test automation, documentation, fixing code vulnerabilities, log analysis, and all of this should help us develop software and firmware faster. But we always need to be staying cautious of validating what we generate, ensuring that it's secure and that we do the necessary checks for all of the content that's produced by AI. So the essence of the job is still to solve the user needs, but how the job is done, I think, will certainly change. It will require developers to enhance their skills to be able to use these capabilities, but it will also create a lot more time on the core of building value added solutions for our customers.
I see. And can you maybe share some of the insights from Schneider Electric's R&D digital transformation journey and the key milestones that you were managing?
So when I talk of Schneider Electric's R&D digitization journey, it's then beyond software because it's a large company with multiple product lines and also a company that grows very aggressively via acquisitions. So if you see our results, our businesses have done very well over the years, and the innovative products that R&D brings is very much a part of this success. So, some of the big elements of digitization have revolved around standardization of our tools, both on the software and the non software spaces, authoritative sources of data, standardizing around them. This makes it much easier for us to bring solutions to our customers that require collaboration and interplay across different businesses. We are also investing in seamless integration of digital tools across the life cycle of product development, right from the idea stage all the way up to decommissioning. We are strengthening our digital twin capabilities at a product level because this is about enhancing digital enablement in areas like simulation, model based system design, code generation, carbon footprint analysis. And code generation is, of course, an obvious area of disruption by generative AI, but we are also seeing trends where AI can enhance designer productivity in other areas like electronics, for example.
Yeah, and when you were discussing this, I was just thinking like how large is the scope because you are basically supporting all the businesses or the lines of business at Schneider
Yes.
in their digital transformation. So whatever the digital solution is being created in Schneider, your teams are involved. How is it adding to the complexity of your job that already seems quite complex?
Oh, it's very interesting, right? You see the scale of the company. You see how we do in different geographies. We also have this multi-hub model where we are spread across. We have four hubs. That's France, NAM, we have China, and we have India as our four major hubs. So it gives me amazing opportunities to interact with people across geographies, understand the needs that these engineers face for each of their products. Some are common, some can be quite special as well. So it's very interesting. Of course, complexity is there, but I think given the business, it's also an asset to have this kind of breadth in the company.
Yes, for sure. And on top of it, you are also innovating with AI. So can you give us maybe some examples how AI is being integrated into Schneider's software development and what are some of the most impactful AI-driven capabilities that you've seen in your field?
In Schneider Electric, we evaluated different GenAI tools and we decided to go with Microsoft's GitHub Copilot. We were quite early with making GitHub available to all of our developers. We defined and implemented these guardrails as well quite early. Because at the end, the only way that people can get comfortable with leveraging the power of AI is if they have access to play around and learn from it. This is, we are all starting from the same base. So, and over the last year, I've seen several examples where engineers have been using Copilot for things like reverse engineering code, improving documentation of existing code, optimizing and improving performance, creating unit test cases, migrating from one language to another. And this is also improving our code review efficiency. Now, all of these are essential activities. And when engineers are spending less time on doing this, they have more time to spend on building the core features that make a difference for our customers. The second thing that I've seen also how these tools are helping us is in learning new programming languages, understanding blocks of code, which is very valuable when you have a new person joining the team, either because of a young engineer from college or somebody who's joined us from a different company and different domain. And this is very helpful for them to learn. And the other one that I've seen more and more is prototyping, because it speeds up the prototyping process where people can try out ideas and fail fast. And that I think is very powerful as well.
Mm-hmm. And how would you assess kind of the change in terms of the heart of the job right now? So do you see that our employees in your teams, they are already used to treat AI as this kind of assistant that is really helping you in daily tasks? Or is there still some learning curve where we still kind of learn what are the benefits, what are the limitations, and as you mentioned as well, where we should be cautious when using these AI tools that are at our disposal?
So I think there are a few steps to it. I wouldn't say everyone's comfortable with it yet. It's a
Mhm.
process. There are some people who are always very enthusiastic to try out everything new and learn from them. So we are doing multiple things. One is to showcase the capabilities of what such a tool can bring. Some people are further along in the change journey, and some people, when they see such examples, then they also feel that they can learn and use these capabilities. What you said about things that we need to be careful with, I think we have to be extremely aware of the cyber risk and the data risk exposure with these tools. And this is something we have to be very intentional about. My team would probably focus significantly on this when we are selecting a certain tool. But every engineer in the company has to also be mindful of it, that these are tools that generate code, but this doesn't mean that we don't have to look at it again and own and correct it as required. So the human in the loop element remains very important. And I think that's part of the education as well, that these bring a lot of good things, but these also bring a certain kind of risk that we need to be mindful of and address as well.
Yes, that's very insightful. Thank you for this comment. And I wanted to deep dive a little bit into the troubles and the challenges. So, in such a complex job as you are having, what are the biggest challenges that you faced in driving digital engineering, the tech debt management, and how have you addressed them?
In the context of, if I take the context of AI, when you look at it, it's a big buzzword, right? So there are a lot of capabilities that are coming there. Every day you will see a new company release a new tool that will solve some problem or the other. So at this point, there are hundreds of such AI based tools in the market that could or could not help us. But for my team, one of the challenges would be to ensure that we choose the right ones to evaluate and assess and see if it makes sense for Schneider. Because it's quite a noisy market out there at this point in time. I think the second challenge, we discussed that briefly, is how do we help people along in the AI journey? For some people, it's an exciting enabler. For some people, there is a sense of risk, there is a sense of fear of what this might bring. And I think there we have to work together on the change management with these teams to teach them how to use it effectively, because at the end, this is going to change how we all work. And the earlier we get comfortable and speak that as our first language, it becomes easier to manage this change. So, helping people through that hesitation becomes important. The third, of course, is the elements of training and reskilling, because people do need new skills to be able to do it. The outcomes may still be what is the value add for our customers, but how we do it will change. People have to be comfortable with elements like prompt engineering. They have to learn the best practices that are out there. And even if it was a developer with 20-year experience in the traditional ways of doing things, there is a whole lot of new things to learn if we want to be able to maximize what we can get from these new tools. And like I mentioned earlier, it is never enough to reiterate. The cyber risk and data risk challenges are extremely top of mind for me and my team when we assess any of these tools.
I see. And I was also wondering, like, through your career, you were probably hiring a lot of people as well. So, with the appearance of GenAI and now with the more mature usage of the AI tools, did you start to hire for different competencies? Like, is still like the core and the basis, the foundation of the competencies of engineering job the same, or did you maybe change something in terms like for what qualities, for what competencies you are hiring people and you are looking for them?
We are all still in the process of that change. So I would not say it's completely changed in how we hire, but I think it has become more and more important to assess on higher order skills at any level. Yeah. The ability to think, design thinking, that becomes very important because the
Mhm.
actual act of programming is probably going to be one that these tools will automate more and more, but the ability to understand a complex problem, the ability to get to the core of it, the ability to translate it into a prompt. A prompt is ultimately about asking the right question, right? Uh, it's how you ask the question to these tools. So these kind of skills become important. It's become increasingly important to look for people who are willing to learn, willing to adapt to new ways of doing things, because we don't know what will change. But if you just look at the last year, year and a half, from the time the generative AI announcements happened, maybe about 2 years ago, to where we are today, the pace of change has been significant. So we do
Mhm.
need to look for people who are more open to adapt new things, ready to experiment, fail fast, move on. These attitudes become very important in the hiring, much more than before.
I see. And exactly, speaking about the change, what are the changes that you noticed in the software engineering tools that we have at our disposal? Like maybe for anybody who are not following exactly this space, how fast they are advancing and what were the biggest new advancements that you observed in these applications?
So if we take these applications, when they first appeared, they were more coding assistants.
Mhm.
Now, in about a year, we can do a lot more. We can do things like generating design from code, or vice versa, a fair amount of reverse engineering. We can create and run unit tests, functional tests. We can manage code across multiple files. These are all just improvements that we have seen in the tool that we use, GitHub Copilot, right? And then we also see big shifts that are there in the future, with particularly around things like agentic AI, which will really, I think, significantly change the way that we will develop software.
Yeah, can you expand a little bit about this? How the future looks like for the software development?
If we look at what I spoke about, were more the basics of the development process, right? The AI capabilities are already taking care of those basics. This will, of course, enable our engineers to focus on thinking about our customers better, understanding architecture better, and things like that. We are there already. But I truly believe that the early capabilities that we're already seeing with agentic AI is pretty impressive. We have to figure out how best we deploy this, but the technology is evolving so fast that we can really write code and deploy them very, very easily. So the prototyping part, I think, will become very easy. We still don't fully understand what guardrails and risks we need to be putting them in place. So I think the thinking around cyber, the thinking about what connects to what, how do we manage these risks, I think will be something that everybody, but particularly teams like mine, will have to be very, very intentional about. And also, how do we manage the scaling? Because at the end, if anybody and everybody can create these applications, there are still some drawbacks with these. How do we maintain them? How do we scale them? How much resources do they consume? So I think these will become challenges as well, that we all need to address, instead of only looking at the benefits of the efficiency and things that we will get from tools like this. We have to also learn how to manage these tools and the outputs that they produce.
Yes, definitely. So a lot of learning ahead of us. And I was just wondering, as we still have time for one more question, if you could give us maybe some particular project that you are proud for working in.
It's been a fun project to even do the deployment of generative AI in Schneider, right? Because Schneider has many different skill sets in the organization. There are the software engineers who are often at the bleeding edge of these things, but then you have a lot of engineers who are there in the system for many years, who are very deep in the domain knowledge of it, and then they have to learn these new skills. So the change management around this has been very interesting. And we've tried many things. We've tried making the tool available, of course, but also we've done some hackathons, we've done some co-creations, we've done some competitions. And with each step, you see how people adapt to the change. And it's been a very, very interesting project to scale up the usage of tools like Copilot within Schneider. It's also been very interesting to see these trends also with other companies, engineering companies, tools that we use, and how they are making steps in things like electronics design. That's also been very exciting for me.
Thank you, Chitra, so much for all the insights. Is there any key insight that you would like to share, like how to prepare for this future?
Well, I'm 100% sure that this will have a significant impact in all of our jobs. Yeah. Today we spoke quite a lot about software, but this will impact all jobs. I think we owe it to ourselves and the companies that we work in to understand what it could bring, learn and adapt and adopt it as best we can, because the difference that we can make is by getting the maximum out of what these tools can bring and safeguarding ourselves against the risk. So I would say that learning mindset, keeping an open mind, I think would be very, very critical.
Okay. Thank you so much for the conversation. It was a pleasure to talk with you, Chitra.
It was a pleasure to be here, Rosa.
Thanks for joining us today on AI at Scale podcast. Be sure to visit our se.com/AI website and learn more about our AI at Scale solutions. Head over to our Schneider blog platform to read more. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your preferred platform and share it with your network. Thank you for listening and stay tuned for the next episode.